This is a little bit different for me in that it was my daughter who started bugging me about this 6 years ago, asked me what I knew about sex trafficking of girls in the US, and I said, oh, come on, it's Southeast Asia, it's Europe, it's Middle East somewhere. I look for where there are gaps in the wall. Nobody's doing anything about it. That's what I always look for. And the more I read, the more I realized we had a huge problem with the commercial selling of kids for sex in America, and we don't know it. And in Tucson, there was no one doing anything about it. So that's almost like waving a red flag in front of a bull for me. That's how God engages me in things. Something where, especially where there's issues of justice and abuse, and no one's doing anything about it. So that's really what brought me into it. Started off meeting with the highest levels. There was a whole group of mayor, chief of police, assistant chief, and with the county attorney and people like that. I was literally kind of shocked when they looked at me and said, we do not have that problem in Pima County. There's never been a single case, much less arrest. Part of what I had to do was read up on the law. My second master's degree I got from a law school because I wanted to do a human rights advocacy. The law has changed, but it changed back in 2000, so it's not 5 years ago, it's 15 years ago the law changed. So that any commercial sexual activity with a minor is trafficking. And it's not just money, it's exchange for food, clothing, a place to stay. Anytime there's a commercial exchange for any sexual activity, not just intercourse, but anything, filming, with a minor and adult is the federal and state felony of trafficking. I didn't know that. Doesn't matter if they consented. Minors can't consent. And then I didn't know that law enforcement didn't know that. Sex trafficking has what they call 3 Ps: prevention, prosecution, and protection. The protection is, what do you do with the girls once you get them? How do you protect them? How do you heal them? That's where the homes come in. The prosecution deals with law enforcement being aggressive in finding the girls and in going after the sellers, the perpetrators, the pimps and others. Prevention comes before all that. How do we help keep this from happening in the first place? We actually had to start with the prosecution part because there had been no arrests. Until I looked at the Pima County crime statistics, and when I was talking to the county attorney who said they'd never had a single case in the history of the county, I said, but in your county statistics, it said last year you arrested 9 teenage girls for prostitution. And the county attorney at that point said, oh, that's sex trafficking. Yes, it is. There was not that awareness here. It was girls being prostitutes, which is not possible. They can't consent. So we thought, okay, we're going to have to start with awareness with law enforcement. So we started by bringing in people. We did an all-day training for law enforcement. We had monthly meetings of a task force where I brought in experts to speak to law enforcement. Now, by law enforcement, I mean not just police, FBI, U.S. Marshals, Sheriff's Department, but it included the Attorney General's office here, the U.S. Attorney's office, and the County Attorney's office, and juvenile court. They all came, even police from the Indian Reservation came, as we brought in experts to talk about what's going on here. Once we did that, law enforcement now trains all their own people. There's a new law, state law, that makes it mandatory that all new law enforcement officers in any agency in Arizona have to be trained in identifying and responding to sex trafficking. That just started in 2015. So we kind of made a shift to social service providers. So we found out, another surprise, they had no clue about sex trafficking. So we started training La Frontera or CPUSA or any of these numbers. We did about 15 agencies in town. What we discovered was no one was doing prevention work with youth. So we began going into public schools a little less than 2 years ago. That was hard. Schools did not want someone coming in. We're a Christian ministry, we let everybody know that. But we deal with all kinds of secular people and groups. This semester alone, we're 7,600 kids, 16 schools, 110 presentations. Why? Every month, there are kids that come forward. Every month in a school. sometimes 2 and 3 in one school. So we're overwhelmed. We have 65,000 students here. The schools want us in. Pima County Board of Supervisors wants us in every district in the county. That's 17 districts. We have 1 half-time staff overseeing this and volunteers. So I've been talking to churches, especially, and saying, you know, how would you love to get the people in your church involved in the schools in your area, your youth pastors and people? They're inviting us in. They know we're a Christian ministry. No, we can't talk about God, the Bible, and Jesus. But we talk about love, relationships, sexuality, morality in public schools. I have never seen such an open door opportunity for Christians to be light in the darkness in this incredibly dark arena that the public is now looking to the Christian community to provide. People need to know there's a cost to getting involved in these areas where there's a lot of darkness. But the cost of not doing it, to me, is greater. It's far greater.